From the News Channel 5 Network, this is Inside Politics.
Hello, everyone. I'm News Channel 5's political analyst Pat Nolan. Welcome to Inside Politics. By this time next week, we should know who is the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate, replacing longtime Republican incumbent Lamar Alexander, who is retiring. It's a race that's been conducted more or less in obscurity for most of this year. However, down the stretch, the two major Republican candidates have been lambasting each other with attack ads over who is the true conservative. Outside PAC groups have also chimed in, and even the staff has gotten involved in some of the attacks. One of those seeking to go to Washington is Dr. Manny Sethi. We've asked both candidates to join us on Inside Politics. The campaign of former Ambassador Bill Hagerty has not been able to work out a time to join us. Dr. Sethi has. Therefore, he's our guest on Inside Politics this week. Dr. Sethi, welcome back to the program. You were on the program back in June of last year, 13 months ago. It was like a different time and a different universe. Very different situation today across the country and in Tennessee.
Oh, it's such a different time. But, brother, it's great to be back with you and your viewers. You know, I'm so grateful. Any opportunity I have to come on your show, you know I'll always take it. So thank you.
Politico calls your race now the nastiest Republican primary in the nation. Is this what you thought you'd be getting into when you were a candidate?
Well, you know, I've never run for political office. I've never even run for student council my whole life. I've been trying to do the Lord's work, making a difference in the lives of people as a trauma surgeon. Running Healthy Tennessee, it's a nonprofit that's given care to thousands of folks across our state. And I do think it's unfortunate that my opponent has become so negative. You know, the ambassador's a good man. He's a good family man. I've seen him on the trail a little bit. And as you've noticed, and the people across Tennessee, that we've surged in the polls and that we're winning the race. And someone somewhere has just given him some bad advice that to run a statewide campaign, you need to tear another man down or launch false attacks. And instead, what I think you should be doing is talking about your ideas, talking about healthcare reform, talking about immigration reform, talking about what we're going to be doing to solve this COVID crisis. And that's what we've been doing over the last 18 months, and that's what we're going to continue to do over the last week. But I would just encourage all of your viewers to look at the facts and not believe all of the misleading characterizations. This is basically, it just comes down to the fact that, look, the Tennessee Republican establishment, the swamp in Washington, they had their person handpicked, and they thought that they could fool the folks in Tennessee. But look, you know the people in the state. I know the people in the state. They're not going to fall for it. And that's why we're going to win in the next 7 days.
Dr. Sethi, your family's been involved in the campaign. Your wife's done one of the ads. Your mother's been involved. I see your children in some of your campaign literature. How do you explain to them when they turn on the television, they see their daddy being attacked? And for that matter, your daddy attacking the other person, too?
Well, I would push back. You know, we haven't attacked anybody. And as I've said, I'm going to take the high road. But my family, you know, they've been involved because everything I do, you know, my wife and I, we've been together since we were 16 years old. I lost my father when I was young, so I'm very close to my mom. She lives with us, too. It has really hurt her personally to see all of the attacks the ambassadors launched against me and my family. But look, to do anything like this when you take on the machine or what I call the mafia, it's going to be rough. They're going to do whatever they got to do to stop us. And I've just explained to my children that, you know, when my parents left their country to do something greater than themselves, to find the American dream for their unborn kids, you know, that takes a lot of courage. And that wasn't easy, to do something bigger than themselves. And just like they did, I'm trying to do something bigger than myself. And I try to explain that to my children. And I think they understand. My daughter's 4, so she doesn't really get it. She just wants to watch Paw Patrol. But my son, you know, he's a little older. He's 7, and he's really coming to understand. And, you know, the one thing I'll tell you is he's traveled with me across the state. He's seen some of the difficult circumstances that many Tennesseans face, places in our state that just need help. And folks need a voice, and I'm proud to explain to him how we have to do this and run for the U.S. Senate to help folks, to be their voice, to fight for them in Washington. And I think he understands.
Dr. Sethi, you are attacking your opponent, saying that he's been supported by Mitt Romney, endorsed by Mitt Romney. I don't think he's endorsed him, but he's at least supporting. You said he supported Al Gore. You're accusing him of doing something untoward about the Common Core curriculum in Tennessee. You're not exactly completely taking the high road. You do have some attacks on your opponent.
Well, I wouldn't view those as attacks, more as looking at someone's record. Now, when someone says in the Wall Street Journal, as Mitt Romney did on July 11th, that I would love to have Bill Hagerty in the U.S. Senate, I mean, we can look at a thesaurus or a dictionary, but for me, I believe that's an endorsement. He did give money to Al Gore in the presidential campaign, and his company did make millions off of Common Core as they tried to make Common Core the law of the land. And so I do think that those are issues that people should be aware of, and that he was Mitt Romney's national finance chairman in 2008 when our own presidential hometown guy, Fred Thompson, was running for president. I would imagine that he was the only Tennessean on the face of the planet who was not supporting Fred Thompson. And so I don't mean those as attacks. I mean those as just really looking at someone's record. You
also say that Mr. Hagerty, when he was with the state, tried to negotiate trade deals with China. So did President Trump. So is there anything wrong with doing trade with China?
Well, if you look at his history, he did spend quite a lot of time working for Lehman Brothers in China. When he was the Economic Commissioner of Development under Bill Haslam, he did open the door to make Tennessee one of the most dependent states on China. And the reason I have a problem with this is that it's just that pattern of Washington insiders who say one thing and do another. And that's why I'm running, because you can't, on the one hand, run a TV commercial that says you're against China, when on the other hand, you worked at Bain Capital or Boston Consulting Group for Mitt Romney while you shipped jobs to China, while you worked in China for Lehman Brothers. And finally, when you were the Economic Commissioner of Development, and you literally made Tennessee one of the most dependent states on the communist Chinese regime. I think there's an inherent problem with that, and we're just trying to point that out.
Dr. Manny Sethi is our guest. He's a Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate, with the primary coming up a week from Thursday. Back to continue our conversation after this break.